Ladies and gentlemen, grab your Febreze, hold your noses. And whatever you do, don't breathe in too deep because the streets are saying Cardi B's. BBL is out here committing biological warfare. Yes, you heard me right. According to sources so mysterious, even Scooby-Doo couldn't unmask them. NFL star Stefon Diggs allegedly had to tap out of the relationship because her BBL smelled like a garbage truck on a heat wave. I'm talking landfill-eaten levels of chaos. But is this just another social media witch hunt? Or is there a real stench behind the smoke? Picture it, Coachella weekend. Lights flashing, cameras snapping, and suddenly the internet goes into cardiac arrest. Not because of the performance, not because of the outfit, but because the BBL allegedly had its own set list. Starting with the baseline of O-Day Dumpster. And let's just say, Diggs apparently couldn't play defense against that now. Is this all a coordinated smear campaign? A jealous ex? Or did Cardi's surgeon forget to install the odor-proof upgrade? Tonight, we're diving headfirst nose plugs into the wildest, smelliest rumor of the year. And trust me, this is one rabbit hole you don't want to climb out of. Alright, so here is how it all begins with Stefon Diggs, the NFL wide receiver known for his highlight catches and off-field charisma, finding himself orbiting the larger-than-life world of Cardi B, a woman's name alone can cause Twitter meltdowns and whose every move has been dissected by millions on social media. On paper, the pairing looked like something pulled straight from a celebrity power couple wish list. She is the Grammy-winning rapper who went from the Bronx to the top of the charts. He is the star athlete with fame, fortune, and a knack for turning heads at every event they attend together, and for a while, it seemed like they were enjoying the kind of glamorous romance that gossip blogs drool over. But then the whispers started. They were small at first, a vague blind item on an entertainment site, a questionable caption under a paparazzi photo, a stray tweet about how Stefon looked unusually tense whenever he was spotted with Cardi. Still, these things were easy to dismiss as the usual background noise of celebrity life until the Coachella weekend changed everything. That festival had it all: blistering desert heat, massive crowds, flashing cameras, and of course, Cardi making an entrance in an outfit so extravagant it could have doubled as modern art. The performance was high energy and everything the fans expected, but when unedited photos from the event hit the internet, the conversation shifted dramatically. Instead of focusing on her set list or her fashion choices, the talk was all about her body, specifically her Brazilian butt lift that has been part of her signature look for years. People began zooming in on the images and claiming they saw something off: strange contours, unusual lines. And then the comments got harsher and more bizarre. Some online users joked about her BBL looking like it was melting under the sun, while others took it even further, implying that the issue was not just visual but possibly olfactory in nature. And as always with the internet, once a strange rumor is planted, it spreads like wildfire. Before long, posts were circulating claiming that Stefon had privately complained about an unpleasant odor and could no longer ignore it. The so-called insiders came out with stories that sounded like bad plot lines. One claimed he had 2 light candles in every room of the house whenever she was around. Another insisted they once saw him subtly spraying Febreze while pretending to check his phone at a gala. Now, obviously, these are unverified and should be taken with a mountain of salt, but the fact they were being discussed at all says a lot about how quickly Cardi's image can become the center of a feeding frenzy. Part of the reason this story caught fire is because Cardi has always been open about the work she has had done. Unlike many celebrities who deny everything, she has talked frankly about breast augmentations, liposuction, and even the illegal silicone injections she got when she was younger and broke, describing the pain, the dizziness, the recovery process, and the regrets. But nowhere in all her candid interviews has she addressed the possibility of a procedure developing any sort of smell over time. And so the mystery deepened. If you believe the online chatter, the alleged confrontation between Cardi and Stefon happened shortly after Coachella, during what was supposed to be a relaxing post-festival getaway. Sources claim he tried to bring it up gently, framing it as a concern about recovery and health rather than an outright criticism. But according to these same whispers, she did not take it well, things reportedly got heated, with Cardi feeling insulted and accused, and Stefon growing more frustrated, some claim. This was the breaking point that led him to leave and run back to an ex, who was more than happy to welcome him back into her life, adding fuel to the drama. The ex supposedly posted cozy photos of the two together not long after the split, along with screenshots of flirty texts he had allegedly sent her during his time with Cardi, which instantly set off another wave of speculation about whether he had been keeping the ex in his back pocket the whole time. Cardi's response was classic. Cardi sharp, unfiltered, and aimed straight at her critics. She clapped back at fans, accusing her of hiding behind Photoshop, and fired off rants, calling her haters broke, jealous, and ugly. It was the kind of social media spectacle that she has become infamous for, and it only made story bigger, because now it was not just about a questionable BBL or a breakup. It was about Cardi versus the internet all over again. In the midst of this chaos, longtime fans began revisiting her history, pointing out that she has often spoken about the pressures she felt growing up in an environment where curvy bodies were idolized and slim frames were mocked. She has shared how being teased for her shape eroded her confidence, and how stripping exposed her to even more judgment from people who valued extreme curves above all else. That insecurity led her to save for her first breast surgery at 18, and then to seek out butt enhancements even when she could not afford safe legal options. That history made it easier for some people to believe she might be touchy about any criticism of her body, while others argued the entire rumor was ridiculous and rooted in body shaming. But the fact remained, the internet had locked onto this story and was not letting go. Every day brought new memes, new fake insider accounts, and more outlandish claims about scented candles, industrial strength perfume, and friend staging interventions. It became a circus, and in that circus, Cardi was both the ringmaster and the main act. Defiant in the face of mockery, yet somehow still caught in the middle of the drama. What made the situation even more chaotic was the sudden appearance of so-called leaked messages and voice notes, allegedly from people close to Stefon, who claimed they were finally ready to spill the truth about why things had ended between him and Cardi. The screenshots circulated on every gossip page within hours, with captions screaming about the smell and the final straw. One supposed conversation claimed Stefon had told a friend he could not focus during games because he was too distracted thinking about how bad things had gotten at home. Another alleged that during one of their private vacations, he had to request extra room service just to bring in air fresheners and flowers to make the place tolerable. Whether these were real or just fabricated, drama fuel for clout-hungry pages did not matter, because the damage to Cardi's image was already underway. The memes were relentless, comparing her to garbage trucks, burning dumpsters, and even fictional villains known for toxic fumes. And with every new joke, the story picked up more speed. The funniest and also most savage part was how creative people got with their edits, posting videos of perfume bottles running away or animated BBL sprouting cartoon flies. Yet beneath the mockery, there was a simmering layer of curiosity, because people could not decide if this was a smear campaign from an ex-lover, jealous rival, or if it actually had some truth to it. Cardi's refusal to address the rumor directly only made it worse. She had posted cryptic tweets about people being obsessed with her life and threw subtle shade in her Instagram stories, but she never outright said it was a lie, which left the door wide open for speculation. And you know how the internet loves filling that silence to make things spicier? A supposed medical source popped up claiming that if a BBL is not done properly, or if complications happen, it can lead to infections that might cause an odor. Now, whether this was a real medical opinion or just someone cosplaying as a doctor on TikTok, it's up for debate, but the fact it even made its way into the conversation gave the whole thing a new layer of legitimacy, at least in the minds of people who were already convinced something was wrong. Meanwhile, Stefon seemed to be living his best life, posting gym selfies and cryptic captions about cutting off negative energy and leveling up. And of course, fans took every post as a subtle dig at Cardi. To add to the chaos, his ex was not shy about showing they were back on good terms, sharing little glimpses of dinners, gifts, and nights out in her Instagram highlights, all without ever mentioning Cardi's name. The timing was too perfect for people not to draw conclusions, and within days, the narrative had shifted from Cardi and Stefon's relationship to Cardi being replaced by someone who apparently came with a clean bill of scent approval. This is where the fake investigative reports started circulating on YouTube channels that specialize in conspiracies. One video claimed to have flight records showing Stefon left Cardi's city earlier than planned after a big fight. Another claimed a source in the beauty industry confirmed Cardi had quietly booked consultations to fix the issue, although no one could say what that actually meant. These videos racked up millions of views, not because they were credible, but because they were entertaining. It became less about whether the story was true and more about how juicy it sounded. Even mainstream blogs began covering it under the guise of asking if the internet had gone too far, while conveniently repeating every detail. In the process, Cardi's fanbase, the Bardi gang, went into full defense mode, dragging Stefon's career stats and accusing him of clout chasing. They flooded his comments with snake emojis and threw shade at his die, claiming she was only relevant because of who she was dating. Cardi herself leaned into her usual fiery style, going live to rant about jealous people, ugly people, and broke people, making up lies about her life without naming names, but making it clear she was not intimidated by the chatter. Still, you could sense in her tone that the non-stop jokes and side-eyes were getting under her skin, especially because her body has been such a sensitive topic for her since the start of her career. There was also a noticeable shift in how other celebrities interacted with her on social media. Some of the regulars who used to hype her posts seemed quieter, while a few threw in suspiciously vague comments about keeping your circle clean and protecting your energy, which fans immediately interpreted as shade. The rumor had taken on a life of its own, so much so that even people who did not follow Cardi or Stefon were hearing about it in group chats and workplace gossip. The mess had gone mainstream, and at that point, there was no putting the lid back on this trash can of a story, because every time it seemed to be dying down, some new twist would pop up. A blurry photo, a suspicious tweet, an out-of-context clip from an old interview that people swore was her admitting something, and so the cycle continued with no clear end in sight, and no one really knowing what, if anything, was actually true. Just when everyone thought the internet had milked this drama for all it was worth, the situation took an unexpected turn when a so-called whistleblower appeared on a late-night Instagram live hosted by a notorious gossip vlogger, claiming to have been in the same VIP section as Cardi and Stefon during one of their last public outings. The whistleblower described in almost cinematic detail how the couple had been arguing quietly at first, then more intensely, until Stefon suddenly excused himself and left with a disgusted expression on his face. The story itself might have been just another exaggerated recount, if not for the fact that the vlogger swore they had obtained security footage from that night the clip allegedly showed Stefon waving his hand near his face as if fanning away a bad smell before shaking his head and walking toward the exit. Of course, the footage was grainy and could have been anything, but in the world of online gossip, grainy means plausible, and plausible means shareable. The video spread like wildfire, gaining millions of views in less than a day with captions that turned the moment into a viral meme. People even started adding their own fake subtitles to the clip, imagining what Stefon might have been saying, and those fake dialogues became a whole subgenre of the joke. But what made things even more intense was that right after the clip went viral, a new wave of anonymous DMs started leaking to gossip blogs, claiming that multiple high-profile athletes had been warned about dating Cardi because of the issue. These messages were allegedly from mutual friends of both parties who wanted to keep their names out of the spotlight but still felt the truth should be known. And whether they were real or completely fabricated did not matter, because the gossip economy thrives on the chaos of the unknown. Cardi, meanwhile, began posting longer and more emotional messages on her social media. One of them hinted at feeling betrayed by someone she had trusted, and another talked about how the industry was full of snakes pretending to be friends. Her words were vague enough to be about anyone, but of course the internet immediately connected them to Stefon. The most shocking twist, however, came when a fake official statement, supposedly from Stefon's PR team, started circulating, claiming that he had no ill will toward Cardi, but had to prioritize his health and peace of mind. The statement went on to say that while he respected her as a person, their lifestyles were not compatible, and this vague corporate language only made people believe there was more to the story as the rumors snowballed. Brands and sponsors allegedly started to reconsider partnerships with Cardi, fearing the ongoing scandal might hurt their image, although none of these reports were confirmed. Gossip pages cited internal sources saying deals were being quietly put on pause, adding another layer of consequence to the saga. Music insiders whispered that Cardi's upcoming collaborations were in jeopardy because certain artists did not want to get dragged into the drama, and even though there was no concrete evidence, the speculation itself was damaging. Fans began dissecting every move she made, every outfit, every facial expression, looking for hidden clues in her public appearances. During a high-profile event, Cardi wore an elaborate gown and perfume was reportedly being sprayed around her by her team before she stepped on the carpet, which instantly became a new talking point for the trolls, who claimed it was damage control. The smell jokes came back with full force, flooding timelines again, and reigniting the debate over whether the whole thing was true or an elaborate smear campaign. The real kicker came when a parody news account posted a satirical article claiming that a luxury candle company had offered Cardi a 7-figure deal to launch a signature scent as a way to reclaim the narrative. The story was obviously fake, but it was picked up by so many casual readers who did not realize it was satire that it became yet another layer of confusion and entertainment in this never-ending soap opera. The pressure cooker boiled over when, during an unplanned Instagram Live, Cardi's emotions spilled out. She spoke about how hard it was to constantly be the target of lies, how people forget celebrities are human, and how the industry is full of people who smile to your face and stab you in the back. Her voice cracked a few times, and while she never directly addressed the odor rumor, the vulnerability in her tone made even some of her haters pause. But of course, the internet has no mercy, and within minutes, clips of her getting emotional were edited with mocking captions and reaction. Yes, the relentless nature of the scandal started to spark debates among journalists, influencers, and even academics about the ethics of online gossip culture. Was this a legitimate example of holding public figures accountable, or just a high-tech form of bullying? Those discussions did little to slow the train, though, because people were hooked on the mess, and every small development was treated like breaking news. By now, the line between reality and performance was so blurred that no one knew if Cardi was subtly playing into the drama to keep her name trending, or if she was genuinely trapped in a nightmare she could not escape. Stefon remained silent publicly, which only gave more fuel to the theory that his side of the story was worse than anyone could imagine, and the silence made Cardi's side the only narrative actively unfolding in real time. The gossip ecosystem was thriving. The hashtags were pulling millions of views, and everyone from small meme accounts to major media outlets had found a way to profit off the situation at this point. It was no longer about a breakup or even the original rumor. It had become a cultural moment, a cautionary tale, and a masterclass in how digital rumors evolve and persist. And as the days passed without a clear resolution, it became clear that no matter what the truth actually was, the legend of this scandal had cemented itself in internet history forever. You've been following this wild ride from start to finish. You already know we've only scratched the surface of the chaos and unanswered questions swirling around this scandal. But here's the thing. Stories like this don't just live and die on their own, they survive because people like you keep digging, sharing, and talking. So if you want the full, unfiltered truth, the behind the scenes receipts, and maybe even the next jaw-dropping twist before it hits the mainstream, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and make sure you're part of this community that refuses to settle for half the story. Drop your thoughts in the comments because your theory might be the one that finally cracks this mystery wide open. And if you've got insider info or a hot lead, my DMs are open for the brave souls ready to spill the tea. But be warned, in a saga this messy, every new clue can change the game entirely. So don't just watch from the sidelines. Join the investigation, fuel the conversation, and help us get to the bottom of the drama that has the whole internet hooked.